Greetings, people. How y'all doing? I'm making a response video, man, to an individual by the name of Stay Woke. The topic of the video is going to be based on, the life, of being an empath. You know what I mean? A lot of people, for one, question what was my experience as an empath, while being incarcerated. Put it to like this: if you pick up a sponge, right, and you clean or use the sponge to, clean or purge your house or whatever the hell, of course, the sponge is going to absorb, the filth, right? Uh, that's what it was like, while I was incarcerated, man. You know what I mean? But how, I basically stayed, dealt with the negative energy, and not become immersed or trapped, you know, in that, state of straight negativity. I basically stayed active, I stayed mobile, you know. I didn't really interact with a lot of individuals, on a day-to-day basis. It was a lot of, negative energy. One of the symptoms of, being highly empathic is that you have the ability to absorb other people's energies. Here I am, I went in there as a petty thief. I was charged with armed robbery with a deadly weapon, burglary of a habitation. You know what I'm saying? But it really wasn't in me to be doing that. I was just one of those individuals, that made some bad choices, in life. And I've always been somewhat highly sensitive. It's just that I didn't know what that was actually called. And I learned that I was basically an empath, very receptive, hypersensitive to a lot of energy, whether it be good or bad. I'm so sensitive to the point that, give you an example. I could be on the phone, talking to someone, and I could tell if the individual, for one, is either, hiding something or, keeping something from me, or, just the lifestyle, man, as an empath, man, it has a blessing. It's a blessing and a curse. Being in prison as an empath was a living hell. For 15 calendar years, man, I was surrounded by pure negative energy. And if it wasn't for my workouts, if it wasn't for the calisthenics, if it wasn't for the jumping jacks, if it wasn't for the push-ups, the pull-ups, the dips, I would have literally, lost my mind, and probably gone crazy. You know what I mean? Some guys, when they go in there, you find out who you really are when you're in a place, such as prison. I didn't go in there and join a gang. I didn't go in there and fondle other men, or wasn't fondled with, if you know what I'm saying, to each his own. Or I didn't, commit any type of crimes in there. I just basically went in there somewhat naive, to the system. And the same things that some of y'all that are empaths out here experience, I experienced it triple. You know, uh, life out here is a little bit different because I'm able to actually, move away and get away and go sit underneath a tree or go sit by, sit in a park or just go into my room. If y'all look at most of my videos, majority of the time I'm by myself. My wife, she's also empathic. Um, Her thing is when she gets around people, uh, she and they're very negative, she'll get a headache, And me, I tend to be I get a little irritated, I could be somewhat combative, not to the point of wanting to get physical, but I'm vocal. I'm vocal. Um, my life, in prison was rough and emotionally. I mean, being drained every day. But how I was able to combat um, the the energy in there, I stayed, constantly mobile, very active. I didn't even so much watch TV. It's not like I was being antisocial or I was shy. It's just that I recognized what the system or the prison system was basically all about. Now, don't get me wrong. You have some good people in there: white, black, brown, red, yellow, fat, skinny. Those who were with or those who are without money. You know, energy doesn't have a color. Energy is energy. And being empathic, you feel energy. You feel good, bad, negative, positive um, energy every day. Um, a lot of people, a lot of people, for one, are just they just don't understand, man. They really don't understand. I mean, I'm a soloist for a reason, man. I'm very, you know, very careful on who I, interact with. I've been invited to gatherings. I've been invited to parties. I've even paid tickets to go to an event, regards to physical fitness. But I had to cancel that because when I get around bad people, man, or get around, you know, a lot of people, I tend to feel like drained, like I'm tired. And I don't like to feel like that all the time, man. You know what I mean? I don't like to feel like that all the time. So I keep it mobile, but um, growing up as a child, I was introverted. I just didn't really understand why I was the way I was, and you know, it took me to go to prison to actually find out, what this gift and curse was all about. And when I came home, 2011, I experienced it more and more. It's just that I was more mobile, I was able to actually move around more. And then I learned that this quality I have is basically called, being an empath. Then, I would like to say intuitive empath, because I can feel things. I can see things sometimes. Um, I even went to the point of trying to, practice Zen Buddhism. Um, Not the religious aspect of Buddhism, but the meditational aspect of Buddhism. So I could basically learn how to master this this gift and curse. But don't get mad when people, for one, are you know. And I had created a lot of animosity as well as enemies, in prison, because a lot of people just didn't understand why I was the way I was, why I was always to myself. And yeah, constantly moving around, constantly working out. I didn't let time do me. I did time. Time was my slave. I wasn't a slave to time. You know what I mean? But yeah, man. My advice to any of y'all: don't ever go to prison, man. If you're an empath and you're highly sensitive, don't ever break the law and go into jail or go to prison, because that is something that I do not wish on my worst enemy. You feel me? But yeah, man, when you're an empath, you're basically a sponge. You can absorb other people's energies. If a person is, you might be, angry one day for no reason. You don't even know where the anger is coming from. You might be, delighted, and you don't even know why you're delighted. You know what I mean? And we live in a universe, man, surrounded by a lot of energy. This is a universe that is, you know, uphold, maintain. The life of this universe is energy. You know what I mean? Whether you call it Allah, God, whatever. You know what I mean? It's the same thing. You know what I mean? But all of us are energy beings. It's just that some, for one, are a lot more in tune with this gift and curse. Let me just say it like that. You know what I mean? But anyway, y'all, I hope that the individual that requested a response. I hope that this video, for one, kind of makes you feel a little bit better, or gives you some insight or enlighten you on what it was like to be an empath in prison. Because, like I told you or said, this minute ago, I do not wish on my worst enemy, if you are an empath, to experience what I experienced in there. Because some people want to take medicine dealing with this gift and curse. Some people have to take medicine. Some people want to classify it as schizophrenic or bipolar, but it's not necessarily. Excuse me. It is not necessarily so or the case. It's just that some people, for one, are highly sensitive. And Jesus the Christ, or most of the prophets of time past, were highly empathic, highly clairvoyant, and highly sensitive to the foolishness or the BS of this world. But anyway, y'all, if you have any more questions, man, want me to, make a video on, this gift and curse, man, holla at me, alright? Peace, love, Islam, y'all.